Just got done watching Venom 2, the movie, and now I want to learn how to draw Venom. Venom to me is, he's got a big eye, right? Make sure you have a big eye. And his eye's a little bit sort of craggly because you don't want it to be smooth because otherwise that's going to be Spider-Man. He's got his big head here. And then the one thing that we like about Venom is he's got the big mouth, right? So we're even going to make him smile just a little bit. Then make sure when you're drawing teeth that they're all different size and shapes, right? Take a look at the inside of your dog's mouth or any animals, and don't make them perfect. I hate perfect teeth on monsters. They don't go to dentists. And then the thing that makes him better than Spider-Man is that he's big. As long as you get the big eyes and you get the cool teeth and the tongue in there and you make him big like the Hulk, you can get there pretty quickly. Venom is a complete and utter happy accident. Why? Because when I was taking over Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man was in the black costume and I didn't like it. Put him back in the red and blue costume. What if I take the costume off the dude, put it on something else, I'll give you some drawings. Those drawings ended up being what we now know as the look of Venom.
Well, it's about that time. So, here we are. The Maximum Series Spider-Man. Whew. Okay. First we're just going to take a look at the presentation of the figure itself first. I am using a little bit of a different mic tip, so hopefully this, audio comes out a little bit more clearer and a little bit more better. I noticed my last video, the audio seemed a little bit on the more muffly side a little bit, so trying to figure it out, as much as I go. So, packaging. I like the packaging. I think the packaging is really great. I really, really do love the packaging. So you can see here we got the Maximum Series logo right there, in black and red, which is a very nice color combination. Love the kind of comic book stuff going on there, and even on the inside there's like some comic book stuff. It's kind of hard to see, but on the white kind of cardboard insert there is some comic stuff. Side of the box here looks pretty cool. Got a nice picture of Spidey right there. And some more comic-y stuff. Back of the box is kind of amazing. I kind of wish that this was the front. And, like if on the front it had like a flap that opens up, that'd be pretty cool. And had that design, because it almost feels like that should be the design there. Yeah. Very nice look there. Unfortunately, that's not how the webs actually work, but we'll get into that. On this side, you got another look at Spidey right there. On the top, it just says Maximum Series Spider-Man. Bottom, nothing. But, yeah, I mean, I like how it's presented. So, presentation gets an easy, 10 out of 10. It's a pretty nice presentation. Here's Maximum Spidey out of the box, and he doesn't look too bad, but we'll get into that. And here's Maximum Spider-Man. Now, there are some QC issues with mine, so we will go over details, of course, as usual that we do on this channel. Overall, I've been enjoying it. I've kind of had it for a little while, and now finally getting to do a video about it. First and foremost, I'm going to tell the honest truth of how I feel about this figure. I'm gonna, it's gonna be nothing but the truth. Because I want to give you guys an honest review when it comes to especially something as expensive as this. For those who don't know, this thing is $60. Which is ridiculous. For a Marvel Legends. Actually ridiculous. But, we'll see if it's worth it. I'll tell you guys right now, it's not exactly... kick my camera there. That is fantastic. But, anyway, what I will tell you guys is that, is it worth it for the price? Well, to me, it's just a normal Marvel Legends figure. So, QC issues. Mine was not safe from that either, which really does suck. Alright, so with mine, There is some blemishing on the waist there, as you can see. If you can see that part right there, there's a little bit of a paint blemish right there. And then you see the feet are fine. I think the feet were pretty much fine. Nothing too crazy. Just that waist piece there. And then I noticed that there was some little bit of paint issues on the waist there. Seems like there was like a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell a little bit on camera, but there in between like the abs there, there is a little bit of issues with things such as web lines and um, kind of overspray or overpainting a little bit. As far as I can tell, the torso is mostly fine. There's a little bit of spots here and there, but torso is mostly fine. Yeah, hands are all good and everything. For the most part, it's pretty decent. Not really seeing too much going on. There is some stuff here and there. And again, I only took it out of the box once, and maybe did a little bit of light posing, but nothing too crazy. But as you can see, right there, there's a little bit of a spot there. It might sound like I'm nitpicking right now, but this thing is $60. This is like import pricing, so I'm expecting good quality for something that's $60. If it was $20, I wouldn't have cared as much, but this thing is $60. Um, and of course, you do got the really stupid way they decide to do the spider logo, which I hate. So I'm gonna have to see if I can maybe try and do something to fix that. Yeah, that is really stupid. And then another thing too is if I lift this figure's arms up, why didn't they paint the rest there? It just breaks up the illusion. So yeah, that is a thing. If this thing was $60, I would have expected the disc hinge in there to be painted blue, and I would have expected that to be finished. But beggars can't be choosers. It's only a $60 Marvel Legends figure, but yeah, is what it is. As for the head, I'd say I got a pretty decent looking head for the most part. There is that one problem at the top there where the web line just does not connect for some reason, which really sucks. So I guess I wasn't 100% saved from all the QC issues, but for the most part, pretty good. Not too many issues. It's a pretty decent copy, which I'm glad. I'm glad I got one of the more decent ones because there are some absolutely awful QC issues with some of these figures, and let's just do a small montage of those real quick. So you can kind of see that there are some, small little issues with some people's figures. But I did also want to mention, I did just notice that my lens is slightly off. You can kind of see it there. It is very ever so slightly off. And then the web lines here too on the mouth area are a little bit fuzzy. Um, but overall, still pretty decently good. But oh, there is another thing too that I did want to mention. The toes here are hollow. What the fuck? Why are these hollowed out? Because and technically this could be considered false advertising. Because if I take a look at the box here, just bring it in the box. Look at the feet. Now tell me that this is not false advertising. If they were actually like this, that would be crazy. But they're not. They're indented. They got the labels and such, which is fine. You have to have those labels. But why are these toes hollow? Did you guys at Hasbro really need to save that much plastic? Did you really? I mean, if you needed to save plastic, maybe you shouldn't have like added, some certain accessories in this thing. Also, you can kind of see the comic background a little bit better now. But um, if you guys had to save that much plastic, that tiny little bit of plastic, then maybe there's some things in this figure that come with this figure that should not have been added. But speaking of which, as far as sculpting goes and all that, let's do a small little comparison just for right now, just to kind of see if this has any reuse, which I kind of bet you it probably does. All right, so I'm gonna do a small little comparison for right now, just to kind of compare different body types. But here is a kind of uh, almost like renew your vows type of body, um, with the black suit VHS Spider-Man. So the main reason why I wanted to compare these is because they have a very similar body. They both have, of course, the whole drop-down hip thing, but they share similar attributes. So I do think that this torso is a little bit different. There are some small differences. So this actually might be an almost completely new body. I do think that the arms. See, I don't recognize where these arms may be from because they're very similar to these ones. Yet there's some differences in the musculature, some slight differences, um, but they still do feel kind of similar. The torsos, just looking at the sculpt, I feel like the musculature is actually a little bit different. I don't know, maybe this is a bad example. um, because I honestly I just figured it would just be this body, but it does seem like this body is slightly different. So maybe they just took this body and built off of it to make this, which is what I'm thinking. I know the legs are different, maybe same ish musculature. They sort of feel the same, but of course this one has the added kind of like creases and everything, so these might actually be a little bit different. Um, yeah, seems like it is a little bit different. But another thing I want to mention is look at the feet here. These ones aren't hollowed out, but these ones are hollowed out. Why is that? I don't know. Hasbro, you're weird. Um, yeah. It's so weird, strange, very strange behavior. And taking a look here, yeah, this torso has to be different because this has the double neck situation going on, while this one just has the double ball. Yeah, it does seem like this Maximum Spider-Man is a different body mold. Not really 100% sure if it's really 100% all new sculpt or not, but it definitely is a different body. So they definitely did create this just for this figure, but I mean, again, they're probably going to use it for a black suit Spider-Man counterpart. Um, and they'll probably make that $60 too, and it'll come with a bunch of random things that nobody asked for. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the detail phase of this figure. I do really like the blue. I will admit, I really like the navy blue. It really does feel like the old school style Todd McFarlane Spider-Man. Although a lot of people have said that this head sculpt is not exactly Todd McFarlane Spider-Man, which I can understand and see from a certain point of view. But that is the style that they are going for, and I think it fits. It fits. Yeah. So overall, not too bad. Some small issues here and there, QC wise, but it's a pretty decent looking figure. So, besides looking decent for the most part, how well does he pose? So, articulation time. So, as far as the head goes, of course, it is the new thing they were hyping up this time, which is the double neck situation, which, by the way, is not new technology. I hate to break it to you, but and I'll show it later, but import companies have already done it first. It's not new, breathtaking technology. It's old technology that has been used and used and used. It's just Hasbro's finally using it. So it's nothing too crazy. And plus, as you'll see, the range isn't all that. But we'll get into that right now, actually. So, for the head, of course, you can't really do much. Um, there's really not a whole lot of side to side, which is kind of crazy since they were hyping this thing up. You can look down pretty good, though. And you can look up pretty well. Not so much on the neck part, but on the top head portion. Of course, you can do a full 360. That top head is on a ball joint, and there is a ball joint at the neck. You could probably switch the neck around, and then the top headpiece, and then get more range, which you actually can. But you shouldn't have to do that, because now his Adam's apple is on his shoulder, and that's kind of weird. So yeah, new. Good on that. And plus, here's the thing. So you have the you have the ball joint right here and socket. Then up here you have the disc hinge and the ball joint. So that's why you're not getting that much range out of it when you do it like this. I don't know why they decided to do that. It's really strange. They probably shouldn't have done that, but they did. So I mean that's pretty much the head articulation. You got your usual not butterfly joints. Man, it's been so long since I've done a video on an actual figure. Whew. So you get that much range out of it going forward. Obviously, for the swinging poses, it does come in pretty deep, actually. Actually, pretty good. Then going back pretty far, pretty much all the way. So, very good butterfly joints. Full 360 at the arms. Arm goes up about that far. Kind of hoped it would go a little bit further. But, down to the side, of course. Got the bicep swivel there. It is a little bit gummy. You got the double pinless jointed elbows, which if I can make it go all the way, there we go. It does go all the way up, which is pretty good. And then, new thing incoming. Of course, you have a kind of tricep swivel going on, which is interesting, but they did that for the gimmick. It's nothing really too crazy or too innovative. I mean, it's there as a joint if you want to use it as one, which is pretty cool for the most part. And then, of course, you got your usual hinge and swivel for the wrist. Nothing too crazy there. Just the usual. Then moving these arms out of the way. As for the waist, you do have the top diaphragm joint, which goes all the way around, so you get some good range out of that. And you can crunch forward about that far with it, and that far back with it. Then you do have the kind of waist crunch here, so utilizing that, you can crunch forward that far, and you can crunch back about that far. So pretty decent range. As far as the hips go, splits pretty much almost all the way. They are on drop down, so you can drop them down. Without the drop down, he kicks up about that far. With the drop down, he kicks up about that far. Back, not so much. Drop down, back, not at all. Does have a thigh cut right there. Double jointed knees that go pretty much all the way, so that's pretty deep. Does have the boot cut there, and then the foot goes up about that far, down pretty much all the way, and then of course your usual Marvel Legends ankle pivot and the toe joint. So as far as articulation goes, I'd say he's pretty goodly articulated. I mean, he's got a lot going for him in terms of that articulation, which I do appreciate and I do like, because that was the main selling point, of course. So you gotta kind of have to have him articulated enough to actually, have that as a selling point. Would I say he has the articulation level of let's say, a SH Figure Arts or a Mafex or Mafex, however you guys want to say it? Absolutely not. it's more Legends than it is Mayfex or Figure Arts, and that is what it's going to be called as such. But for what it is and what we have for it, I'm pretty decently pleased as far as it goes. Um, but yeah, so articulation aside, I think it's kind of passed. But of course, the main selling point is that it's a Maximum Series Spider-Man. So what makes it so maximum? Apparently, these accessories. So in terms of accessories, of course, you do get the standard pair of fists. Then you do get a pair of thwippers, which does have some variation in the pinkies and stuff like that. At least with the one hand. So, I mean, they are some interesting thwipper hands. And then, of course, you do get a pair of wall crawling hands. And you do get a pair of gripping hands, which are for his very awful web accessories. But I did check these hands. They are a new sculpt for the most part. And yeah, so they're gripping hands. They do have holes in them to hold things, or you could potentially use them so that way he can play with himself. As for some more interesting hand accessories, he does have these hand accessories that have web coming out of them. This is cool. I know I'm bashing on this figure for a lot of different things, and I have the right to. It's my figure. I'm here to tell the truth about it, and I'm not going to sugarcoat or shill over it. And, in my honest opinion, these are a great accessory. I don't know why we've never gotten something like this, but now that we have something like this, it's great. This is great for Spider-Man, and I think these accessories are absolutely fantastic. Now, as far as some other hand accessories, he does come with two more, or a pair of more. So he does have these web shooter hands. Now, these are pretty cool. Although I wish that the actual hands would have been able to be moved around. And it would be cool if we had different variations of these type of style hands to plug into these sections, because they could have done it, because I'm going to show you real quick. So, how to install these is you just take off the that, and then you just take them here, and they just plug right on in. They plug right on in! Okay, there we go. And then we'll do the other one too. Just take it off like that. Then take this one, plug it right on in. Come on, get in. There we go. So then here we have them, or have him, with the come on, bring the arms up. Here we have him with the web shooter hands in, and I mean they look great. But the thing is, if the other hands, these hands, can have this piece and a moving wrist and everything, why can't these ones? Why couldn't we have gotten more pairs of these? So we could have different variations with the web shooters. I think that would have been awesome. But yeah, we have those. So I mean, they're cool. It's just we could have used a lot more. Anyway, as far as heads go, you do of course get the head that it comes packaged with, which we've already pretty much taken a look at. You do also get this head, which has a slight squint to the eyes. Nothing really too major. I mean, if you can kind of see between the head it comes packaged with and this extra head, there's really not a whole lot different. But, I mean, yeah. And speaking of the QC, we'll take a look around here real quick. Actually looks a lot better than the head it comes packaged with, so that's a plus. And, of course, the talk of the town. Oh, God. The cracked out Peter head sculpt. Now I know it's supposed to be, him like kind of like maybe like tired and stuff like that, or I don't know what they were going for. I mean, this is the Todd McFarlane looking Spidey. Um, for the most part, it looks good. It just looks very like creepy and uncanny. Let me just like, yeah, isn't that something crazy? Yeah, ugh, just a very creepy looking head sculpt. It's not terrible, but it's also not really that great either. Another accessory this Maximum Spidey comes with is, of course, the Spider Sense effect, which is a pretty cool effect. I'm actually glad we got something like this. And this works pretty easily. You just kind of take it and put it over the head. Although I wouldn't really put it on and like keep it there. Just kind of move that up a little bit just so I can show you. Yeah, I mean it looks good and everything. I probably won't be really using it all that much, maybe just for photography, but you could use this probably on some other Spidey heads too, which would be pretty cool. And I will test that out here with some other ones. Actually, you know what? I'll do that right now. Let me see if it works for this black suit Spider-Man. Probably will. Although I don't know if it's just only. Ooh, yeah, no. Yeah, I don't think it's made for every Spidey head, but maybe it could fit on some others. I don't want to stress it out, and plus, when I was using it, I think there was like some like yeah, you can see right there. There's a little dent that's like starting to form because I put it on. So yeah, I probably will refrain from using this. It's a cool piece, but I don't want to damage my figures. So this Spider-Man does come with some web accessories. So you do get this one right here, which is a very nice accessory. I like this. This one's really, really good. And it's done pretty nice. Really love the clear plastic that they used for this web piece. It's sculpted very well. Very nice web piece. And then you also do get this cum shot. You literally get a sperm. I mean, it's cool, I guess. It's a little bit useless. But yeah, you get that. You also do get a web shield, which is interesting. I know way back in the day, Spider-Man used to do shit like this for no reason, but yeah, you do get a web shield, which has this kind of slight silver paint on top of it, like dry brushed. Which does look kind of cool, and it does remind me of the Todd McFarlane style, like books and everything. So that is a very nice looking shield. I will show how all this stuff works too as well. And then lastly, you do get these two absolutely floppy and flaccid, awful webs. Yeah, what the hell were they even thinking? No bendy wire, no nothing, just flaccid webs. Fantastic. But at least it's better than that web accessory they always keep giving with Spider-Man figures. Then lastly, you do get a stand. Now this stand, just peg it together. And what this is actually for is the web accessories. So, but yeah, so you take this. There's a hole on the bottom of this kind of sperm shot, and then it's just kind of goes like that. And of course, you'll have like Maximum Spidey here, and you'll probably have like if you like put them with the web shooting hands and stuff, so you can set them up like that or whatever. Or you can have them kind of do a little bit of an actual cum shot, but that's besides the point. But you have that, then of course the regular web thing here. Same kind of concept. Would have been nice if they actually came out of his wrist. But yeah, there you go. It's kind of the same concept going on there. It's cool and nice to get like a small little stand for something, but definitely not going to use it for that. Um, you do also get the web shield, which does just clip on using a clip, so you can have them with the kind of web shield there, which isn't too bad. A little bit useless because I don't know how much use this is actually going to get with most people, but it's an interesting little accessory. Definitely very Capcom-like, and judging by the recent reveals, I think that's why that was added, because technically this is a Capcom Spidey too. They did use the kind of almost Todd McFarlane style Spidey for that. But yeah, that's probably why that was added, and honestly, probably why this other stuff was added too. Interesting how that works out, right? But these flaccid, awful web accessories, they just go in his hand, and you call it a day if they can get in his hand. But yeah, this is just bad. So I mean, you can't really like get them in any swinging accessory without these like just looking like absolutely flaccid. It's like if I were to like just do like a quick little kind of web swing pose here, it just droops. It's just a useless line. Now, if it had like bendy wire, and you can just kind of like bend it around, let's say like that, I think it'd be more perfect. But it's just so flaccid and so bad. You can't do anything with them. It's so god awful. But that is pretty much his accessories. Now, I'm going to show you something a little bit interesting. We're actually going to mod this figure before we get into the pose test. And I cannot wait to do a pose test with this figure. But I'm going to do some mods to this figure real quick, and then we'll be right back. And I will show you what I did and, everything. So, as far as the mods go, we did do a little bit of modding here. I'll show what I did with the figure here in a second. But what I did with the web lines is I put some wire and just kind of bent it across the webbing, so that way you can actually, bend it and everything. Maybe not the best wire that I used, just because it does kind of stick out a little bit. But that is a mod that you can do for at least the webbing. So I did that on both. Am I going to be using this webbing? No, I'm not. I actually have custom webs that I will be using for the pose test for this Spidey. I know, hate to disappoint, not using everything that comes with the figure, but these just aren't really all that great, in my opinion. And you can get better webs from people who make them. So, yeah, but, if you can't do that for whatever reason, you can do this. So, this is a kind of mod idea. If you guys wanted to kind of use that. But as far as the figure goes, I did cut a little bit on the toes here. So that way he could... Oh, there's like some paint or something on my pinky. But you can cut the kind of toe sections here to give them a little bit more movement. It also can do toe curling movement too now. But that's mainly so that way he can stand on his tippy toes, which I'll do here really quick, just to kind of show how that works. Hopefully it'll work pretty good. Hopefully it'll work pretty good. I said hopefully it'll work pretty good. Come on. Okay. Maybe it's going to take some finagling, but this will make it work a lot. Okay. Patience, patience. Going to be a bit difficult to get them to actually do it. Alright. Well, trust me, it works. I'm not going to sit here and finagle with it. You'll probably see it in the post test. But it definitely does help, so it's definitely something you guys might want to do for your figure. As far as the other mod that I did, gone are those really weird looking things off to the side. So I did add the paint and everything. Try to color match as best as I possibly could. It came out pretty well. You can still kind of tell, but it's not really as noticeable. And, it's also a paint rub free. So it looks a lot better now that those things are off. But that is just kind of the small little mods I did. There's a bunch of other mods you can do, especially with the neck range and some of the other small stuff. But that's pretty much what I did. Just kind of some small things just to enhance the figure. But without further ado, let's do a pose test. I hope you guys enjoyed that little pose test. But now it's time that we talk about scale, pricing, and yeah, then we'll get into the final thoughts. So, as far as scale goes, here he is next to what I believe is my definitive Marvel Legends Spidey, at least for the animated series. So you can see how they look next to each other. Pretty much damn near around the same height. This is one of my favorite Marvel Legends Spideys. So there he is next to that, which that is a $20 figure, by the way. Here he is, of course, next to the... And there he goes, falling over. Come on. Alright, let's make sure you don't fall over this time. Maybe I needed to stand this one up. Man. Come on. There we go. There he is next to... Actually, oh, wow, that is strange. His feet are not, like, flat to the ground. Okay. There we go. And then, of course, there he is next to... Wow, they are not centered. Damn, I suck at my job. Anyway, here he is next to the, I believe, a Renew Your Vows body, black costume Spider-Man from the VHS 2-pack. And you can see the black costume Spider-Man is actually bigger than the Maximum Spidey. Just a bit strange, but I'll take it. And then, of course, here he is next to my custom Marvel Legends kind of Todd McFarlane slash Mark Bagley style Venom. You just get them straightened out a little bit. These older bodies are a little bit wonky. Sometimes. Hopefully that's as straight as I'm going to get them. For some reason he likes to kind of lean a little bit, just weird. But there he is next to my custom McFarlane-esque style Venom there. I think they make a pretty decent pairing. But yeah, so that is it for the normal Legends segment. And by the way, this figure was $20 back in the day. Even though the articulation is a little bit, leaves a little bit more to be desired on the older figs. But since that's it for the regular Legends style type of comparisons, it's time that we take a look at some other comparisons. So, I apologize for the shadowing. I don't know why that's happening. My lights are a bit strange. But this is a segment where we talk about the price and also what you actually can get for that price. So, and honestly, even for cheaper. First off, I think we're going to take a look at, let's take a look at SH Figure Arts, for example. So, obviously, here's an SH Figure Arts Tobey Maguire. He is shorter, yes, but you do get a lot of accessories with an SH Figure Arts figure. Not only do you get a lot of accessories, you do get arguably import quality and import style articulation. While, as you can see with the Hasbro Maximum Spidey here, you get your usual Marvel Legends articulation from the waist down, and obviously the torso, arms, and everything. They really make a big deal out of this dumbbell joints, but it's not really a full dumbbell, as you have a disc hinge up there, and then the ball joint piece right there. But they make a big deal of something like that when companies like SH Figures have been doing it forever. And I'm just going to show you. I do have a custom head on this Toby. Love these heads by All the Art Studio. But look at that. That is import quality. Oh, well, my head just came off. Come on, there we go. But this is import quality articulation. Lots of range. Very crazy range in all of the arms. All the butterflies are very smooth. Everything is very super articulated. You can seriously articulate this Toby pretty good. And plus the diaphragm and the waist ball joint. This figure doesn't have that. It doesn't have any import style articulation. And then, of course, the crazy figure arts, Spidey hips, and, everything else. You kind of get the point if you've had an SH figure arts Spider-Man. Um, but what I'm trying to get at here is this figure right here was about what? $90 when it released. Maximum Spidey here, it's like, $50 to $60, somewhere around that. Explain. I mean, you can get a couple, you can pay a little bit more money, get yourself a figure arts figure. You get a lot of accessories, great web accessories, lots of hands, interchangeable heads, and everything. For $90. But with this Maximum Spidey, it's just a regular Marvel Legends Spider-Man figure. It's not really breaking any new ground, at least in my opinion. It's not really breaking any new ground. It's actually kind of degrading new ground, especially with that head situation. Because I did show it before, you can't really articulate it the best, but yeah, I mean, so for $90 you can get this, or if you want, you can get the Maximum Spidey. But overall, yeah, they're trying to charge an import price for not import quality. Well, this is import price and import quality. If that makes any sense. If not, I have some other representations. So that was the figure arts. Here's a cheap alternative. This is CT Toys, but they basically use the same articulation as the Mafex counterparts. This is Mafex Spidey. This is my customized comic book version and everything. So yeah, here, and he does not like to stand, which I don't understand at all. I have him standing pretty well. He just does not like to stand for some very strange and weird reason. But yeah, here we have the CT Toys bootleg Mafex Spidey. Obviously, the CT Toys one's a bit shorter, but it does use the same articulation as you know in imports. Take a look at the head range. Well, maybe in the CT Toys one's not really that great, but it still has the ball joints and everything and whatnot, and the crazy leg articulation and everything. You can kind of get where I'm going at here, and plus, this was only like 20 something bucks, but maybe that's not the best example. But here I have an official Mafex Venom, which is the kind of Todd McFarlane style Venom. So here he is, and yeah, still kind of the same sort of situation here. Sorry, I was kind of fiddling with my mic, but yeah, take a look at his head. Crazy good articulation. And obviously the double diaphragm and waist ball joints, and the crazy arm articulation and everything. The whole shebang basically. Um, yeah, you're still not going to be getting that with Maximum Spidey. Mafex usually runs pretty expensive, like in the around the $100 range, but even the cheapest figure arts Spider-Man that you can get still is more articulated and, more worth the actual price because you're paying import price. This is an import figure. You're paying an import price for import quality. With Hasbro, you're paying import price for Hasbro quality, which Hasbro quality, as I've also shown and everything, is not always the greatest. They can be great, but it's not always the greatest. But yeah, so I mean, here's obviously Mafex Venom, and a recent addition. Here he is next to the most recent Mafex Spidey to have released, at least one that I have. But that is, of course, the No Way Home Mafex Tobey Maguire. Now, yeah, so same kind of situation going on here. That is how they look next to each other. But same situation. It's just all about that range. I mean, look at that crazy range. I mean, his neck is basically broken. Uh, that would be my medical opinion. That it is broken. But yeah, I mean, look at that range. Just the amount of range, and then of course, the yeah. I mean, at this point, you kind of already get what I'm trying to go here. Import quality, import price, import price, Hasbro quality. Yeah. Now maybe if the maximum, actually, you know what? I'll save that all for the final thoughts. I'm getting carried away, but yeah. And I believe this was like 100 something, something like that. Um, and I understand, but how about I give a Hasbro representation? So the newest released figure is the Gamerverse Venom, and he is so huge I can't even fit him in camera. But yeah, it's gonna bring the camera up just a little bit, just to get his head in frame. Here's the Gamerverse Venom. Now, if you don't know the price of Gamerverse Venom, I'll go ahead and tell you. Gamerverse Venom is 70 something dollars. And he's this huge. And guess what? He does come with accessories too. He comes with an extra set of hands that are fists. He comes with an extra head that has a saliva piece that you put on, and he comes with a symbiote kind of weapon piece thingy do. $70, big ass figure, comes with pretty much every accessory you need besides the wings from the game, but they'll probably do something with the wings later down the road. So $70, 50 to 60. I kind of actually forgot the price. It's about 50 to 60. What's the difference here? What is the difference here? And I mean, the chest up here is hollow. This is hollow. This is hollow. But everything else is like very, very not hollow on this figure. And plus with all the extra accessories, and he even has, of course, toe joints. He has toe joints. This Venom has every articulation scheme that they've used up until now, and he's $70, while this Maximum Spidey is about 50 to 60. Make that make any sense? Make that make any sense, like, at all? I mean, honestly, to me right now, it's more worth it for this Venom, but I mean, if we're being completely honest, this Venom probably should not have been 60, or I mean 70. And he has a hair in the back. You guys see that? My bad. Like stuck in one of his joints. Oops. Sorry about that. Oh my god, there's like a hair just wrapped around. Did I get that from the factory? That's strange. Alright, anyway. Where was I? Oh, realistically, this Venom should have, maybe been like just $50. Realistically, in a perfect world, that would have been, what what really was. And then, obviously, the Spider-Man should have been like what, like 25, maybe 30, maybe 35, somewhere around that, and that would have been doable. But unfortunately, we live in a society where this Venom here being $70 and this teeny Spider-Man being 50 or 60, it's a bit strange, but somehow the Venom is kind of a little bit more worth it. I have no idea. At least to me, like, the height, the accessories and stuff, it's slightly more worth it, but even then the price is still kind of outrageous. It's outrageous on both of these, but yeah. It's kind of hard to really justify the price of either of these guys, but yeah, anyway, that's pretty much for that. So let's go over the final thoughts.
All right, so for the final thoughts on the Maximum Series Spider-Man,
Overall, I think it is a great Spider-Man figure. Maybe one of the best Spider-Man figures out there. But there is a lot of issues. Mainly, if you don't mod your figure, the back Spider logo printing is going to be kind of an eyesore. And definitely, the toes, you're definitely going to want to cut that piece off, just so that way you can have them kind of articulate a little bit better. And then as far as like QC, it's kind of like a box of chocolates. You never really know what you're going to get. My main issues with this figure is obviously the web lines being really floppy. That's why I'm using custom ones that are a whole lot better. Some of the accessories are pretty good. Definitely would have liked to have actually gotten more of the web shooter hands and maybe have those be separate pieces. I don't see why they couldn't do that and maybe keep the same price, but just give us a lot of pairs of those type of hands. Then it would have, justified the price maybe a lot better. But overall, I do like the aesthetic of the figure. It's just the price. The price is just not it. And it should not be this much money. It's kind of ridiculous that it is. And that is the main problem with this figure, is the price itself. I do really like the Spider Sense accessory, even though it kind of does leave divots in the head, so I probably won't be using it. The extra Spidey head that's kind of like squinting a little bit, there's really not too much difference with the eyes for it to really, feel like a different head sculpt. I do like some of the hand accessories, and I think some of the accessories in general are pretty cool, although they could have probably worked a lot better, in my opinion. I do think the articulation is pretty good, but it does not warrant that import price. The unmasked head sculpt is pretty cool. It does look like he is a little bit cracked out, but overall, it's an okay figure. Not bad, but Maximum Spidey might not be worth the price, but Maximum Hulk, which I am not getting, is definitely not worth the price, because, Jesus, there's, nothing here. But, anyway.
I've heard it 1,000 times before, and it's just not that funny anymore.